ready to go. Let's go. All right, we're ready to roll?
I'm still trying to find it. Go ahead, you can start.
Waiting on her.
There it is.
All right, hello and welcome to another 5K tennis discussion. It is day one recap time of the Australian Open. Real quickly, generally on these days, we do an everyday update for the fantasy teams and tennis racket giveaway. I will do that at the end of this live stream. Instead of doing a separate video today, I'll do a complete video tomorrow for the complete recap. Carla and I coach a high school tennis team, and we have a match to go coach and bring the team to after we get done with the show. So if you're playing fantasy teams or tennis racket giveaway and want to know where you stand after the first half of the men's and women's draw, stay tuned to the end. I will say that out of a lot of players, there are only 4 people that are still perfect after the first half of round 1. Don't forget, Carla and I won't win our own prizes, so if we win, the next person in line will be the winner. So don't worry about it if one of us is in first or anything like that. All right? Ready to go?
Yep.
Everybody logged in?
Saying hi to everybody.
Let's go. All right, so day one.
Matt said, I can't believe I forgot to put my team. Yeah. Matt.
Matt Kane.
Could have won another racket.
Yeah, our last racket winner forgets to put in his teams. Go figure. He could have had a 2-pack.
What's up, Philip? By the way, hit like, guys. I see there's like 13 or 14 of you. Hit like if you forgot to do it.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed, because again, when we give out sometimes random prizes instantly, we'll make sure that you're subscribed, which is the only qualification to get any of the prizes, by the way. So click the like button, click the subscribe button, and anytime we do just random spur of the moment giveaways, you'll be in. All right, ready to start?
Ready.
All right, because the match in essence just kind of ended, let's start on the men's side and jump right into Shapovalov and the young Yannick Sinner. Well, I say the young, they're both pretty young, but let's start there. Carla, you want to start on the match?
I watched the match. Shapovalov won the first set, right? Let me look at the score. Let me look at the score. We watched the match. I didn't really want to talk about the score. I was chatting with Wildlife about the match, and Shapovalov could close it out. He was at 5-3. He could close it out. Then it went 5-4. He was serving for it. Wildlife made a great point. Sinner just won a title against Khachanov.
Tired.
He looked tired. And we go back to why veterans withdraw from tournaments, knowing that there's a slam that's right around the corner. I think Wildlife said, I think the title wasn't worth it. If he had been fresh, he probably would have beaten Shapovalov.
Well, I disagree with him saying the title wasn't worth it. Well, from a very young man perspective, a title is a title. It gives motivation. It leads to confidence. We talk about confidence a lot. The title win was great for the young man. Let's give him that. If you're that young, I think tiredness is a factor, but not so much of a factor. By the way, pardon our sound quality. We're in a big, spacious room. If you follow this channel, we lost our house 4 months ago during a hurricane. It's almost rebuilt. So I say almost. So within the next 3 or 4 weeks, hopefully we're back in it and back into our normal kind of studio area. So if we're shouting or it sounds muffled when we're facing one another, we understand that. Very sorry for that. Back to the Shapovalov match. Number one, Shapovalov is just as much as a kid on the tennis court, in my opinion, as is Yannick Sinner. He had double faulting issues. Let's start there.
Yeah.
We've talked about Shapovalov and his tendency to jump at his one-handed backhand. I'll make this in a nutshell. When our mind is locked onto a target, and I've said this before, and Wildlife, if he's out there, knows this.
He is.
So if my mind is locked onto a target, let's say my palm is my racket, which does basically the same thing as the strings, giving the grip, obviously, and let's say that this is the ball, okay? So ball and racket. So if my mind is dialed into that target, I'm locked onto it. If at the last second I lift up, I end up hitting off the bottom of the frame or the bottom of the sweet spot because I'm locked on, and at the last second I lift. So when we lift, it takes the ability out of the player's toolbox to be able to let the hand do the work to create topspin. So we want to use our handwork to create topspin. And when you jump at it, it takes away from that, and we tend to hit long or erratically. And once again, that was on display this match.
Yeah, his forehand too. Okay, from what I saw, I love Shapovalov, and I always thought that he could be a really top player. But after watching him today, his first serve inconsistent. He misses it a lot, like Zverev does. His second serve, I find, has nothing in it. It's almost like he kicks it, but there's no. He's not thinking maybe I should put it on this spot or maybe I should put it on this spot. He tends to go neutral on the second serve. Very inconsistent serve. His forehand is too open. He hits with an open stance, but he kind of swats around it, which is why he missed it a lot. You know, he would miss out balls by that much. It wasn't even like by this much. It was like by that much. Just, I thought Sinner had a great chance to beat him. He did look tired. And then on match point,
he served in volleys.
He serves in volleys. I'm like, wait a minute, you don't have a great first serve, and you're gonna serve in volley. You know how fast you got to come in. I mean, the ball landed almost at his feet. Just not. I mean, he looks like a boy. On top of that, his body's built. He's 21, but he still has a boy's body. You know, he's not developed well, like on the top or the bottom. I mean, Sinner. He's a boy still, so you can give him that. You know, you can see the long legs, him starting to develop, the body's kind of unproportionate right now, you know, because he still has to build it up. Felix looks better than Shapo, in my opinion. I have a feeling Shapo could lose in the next round.
It was a coin toss to start out. A lot of people chose Jannik Sinner on their fantasy teams, by the way. One person even chose Jannik Sinner as a finalist for the tennis racket. We'll talk about that later. We already have one person that's out of the new tennis racket giveaway. Let's go back to Shapovalov's opening up, as you said, when he hits the forehand.
Yeah.
Now, we have to remember that Shapovalov is left-handed. So whereas we normally judge someone's forehand, I guess the majority of them, because they're a right-handed player, we have to remember that his forehand is opposite. So a left-hander tends to hit a little bit more open when the trailing arm comes around. That's why lefties can be difficult. However, he does open up too early and too much. I agree with you there. If we open up too early, it's really hard to take the lines when we hit because we tend to go cross court. If we do take the line and we open up too early, we tend to hit it wide or a little bit too early. So anyway, with that said, I agree with you 100%. The serve and volley on match point. Granted, he won the match anyway, but he had his first match point and he elected to go for a big serve and then come in behind it. It's almost like he forgot that he was playing modern tennis and he was going back to vintage tennis days. Like when I was raised with the wooden racket or T2000 or a Wilson Ultra 2, we served, and we served as hard as we could, but the ball wasn't coming off the synthetic strings or natural gut strings as fast. So we were able to get to the net and still have a good split step close up to put the point away. But these days, when you serve and volley, it's best to roll it to a spot and then come in behind it and not go so big because you're going to get caught with the return coming by the feet.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Luckily, he closed out the match, but
he laughed about it when he missed that shot, but had a chance. I mean, Sinner had a chance.
Yeah.
You know, he saw that chance, especially with a guy that, when you're in men's tennis and you want to be a top 10 player, you need a serve.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have a serve.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he
or a consistent
maybe
one.
he should get rid of Mommy as a coach. I don't know.
Well, he has Uzni on the squad, doesn't he?
I think so. I think he still does. I don't know.
So, look, great match, by the way. I don't think Shapovalov goes too terribly far. Who does he play next?
I said he might lose, and Layla's like, he's playing Tomic next. And
Good
then she
point.
says Tomic was going to lose the first round, though. Got lucky with the walkover. Wasn't he up? Didn't he win a second set 6-1 and up 4-1? How was he lucky?
Who?
Tomic. He lost the first set. Then he won the second one. He was up 4-1 on the third.
Layla, you lost 2 people on your fantasy team. You still have 16 left. That's pretty good given how many other people lost. So good job on the show.
Yeah, okay. So he lost 3-6, and he was up 6-1.
6-1 and then 4-1.
And then he was down. Oh, no, he was,
He
up,
was up 4-1.
He was up 4-1. So I don't think he was lucky. The other guy was out of shape or something was going on. But he was going to win that match. In my opinion, you're up 4-1. Yeah, you're cruising.
Well, I didn't see the match.
I watched some.
I honestly thought that Tomic would lose the first round, hence why I didn't pick him as my wild card or my qualifying player for the fantasy team.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know what happened with his opponent.
Well, they said he had an abdominal injury. That's why he was up 6-1. Well, you know, in reality, when you play a match, somebody could twist their ankle and you could still win the match. A win is a win. I don't like the guy, but he won.
Are you excited at all about the Shapovalov Tomic match?
No.
Do you think Shapovalov will win it in straight sets?
He should.
He should, right?
He should. If he doesn't, yeah, that's questionable, right?
Look, could you imagine if Tomic wins and has to face either Duckworth or the young Felix Auger-Aliassime? Could you imagine if he took a run here?
Somebody picked Tomic.
Yeah.
Somebody picked Tomic in their fantasy group.
Yeah, as their wild card player.
Yeah, as their
or
wild
their qualifier, yeah.
Poor Grigo's hair. Yeah, he's going bold. I watched that match as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we're gonna take just a short little nugget here, but we know that the American Francis Tiafoe won. He took out the Italian Travaglia, and then we know Opelka took out Jensen Liu in straight sets, which makes a matchup between
the Americans.
the two Americans early. We talked about this on our draw breakdown show. We talked about from a potential conspiracy theory standpoint that I catch a lot of grief from, that they tend to pair up players that seemingly they want to get rid of early. Let's take a look at this real quick. Listen to this fact. Arguably the worst team, or arguably the worst men's tennis by country right now is Great Britain.
Yeah.
Obviously, arguably, they're the worst country that, generally is in the light, right? The second worst is the U.S. right now, arguably. Is there any other country that generally has good tennis, men's tennis, that is worse off than the U.S. men and the British men? Now, you can argue with that if you want, but check this out. So we have the British, we have Dan Evans and Cameron Norrie that meet in the first round tonight.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're going to get one of the two worst guys out to start.
They're not the worst.
Well,
Evans is pretty good.
I'm just saying in terms of the countries.
Yeah.